West Hills County Park in Huntington, Long Island covers 855 acres. Some of the park is covered in turn with invasive plants. Thanks to the generosity of Ron Freed, a local steward of the park, we were able to remove a great deal of it. Now that it's winter, we have come to see what else we need to do.
Should I pick my teeth with it?
No. If you look through here, you see a lot of the stuff that we've already pulled.
English ivy, believe it or not, is not from here, it's from England, and it's a massive problem. It's invading all forests and strangling all our trees. And so this is a prime time to make people aware that it's there, and it's at its most accessible now. So you can just go up and chop all the roots away and watch it wither in the spring.
So we've removed the ivy from this tree, and I'm just going to make sure that it has a nice clean mark and that none of this re-roots. But this is all you got to do. You just kind of clean it off.
The good thing about English ivy, though, spreads sort of aggressively, but once you get it out, it generally stays out.
At West Hills, there are acres of great laurel, Rhododendron maximum, that were imported from North Carolina in the 1920s. Perhaps with climate change, these trees are now in their native range. Unfortunately, as the weather warms, certain invasive plants, like Oriental Bittersweet, spread aggressively, so that the great laurels themselves are now under threat.
You can really see how the vine just takes that branch and just breaks it and pulls it down to the earth.
So, look at this bittersweet. Just keeps going, like an annoying game of tug of war, but it's very satisfying when you win it. Looks like I'm losing it. Chainsaw, sis? Chainsaw, sis? Woo! Yeah, Oriental Bittersweet has these like sort of characteristic orange coloring to their roots. So it's a good tell when you're pulling a vine. If it has like these bright orange roots, it's almost certainly Oriental Bittersweet. We gave this tree a new lease on life. And oftentimes when you cut a big vine like this at the base, it'll just die anyway.
We can just eradicate all the vines, show people what it could look like. Even in the most well-maintained garden where you mow, these little vines, they're gonna land right next to the tree because the birds are gonna defecate them at the base of the tree. And so even mowing around, you have to make sure around your tree that the vines aren't starting to establish themselves.
Let's see what an ID says. Burning bush. One of our dirty dozen. Also Japanese.
Reducing its height does not kill the plant, but it will stop it from creating fruit and spreading and weaken it. Over time, this plant will not suffocate out other plants and will die.
Can I borrow that for a second though?
Press it first and then do that. That is your typical American hedge out here in the forest.
It's Ilex pineda. It looks like boxwood, but it's a Japanese
holly?
Japanese holly, yep. Sometimes when you just hack off the above ground part of the plant, the whole plant just goes. Especially when we're talking about invasive shrubs. Obviously you can't do it with, things that can kind of sucker up very quickly. But, if you're going through on your own and doing invasive species removal, this is a big deal for the health of the forest. And I think Melissa's very excited about it.
This is wild in here. Wow. I can't tell if this tree's alive. I think the vines might have gotten it. What do you think?
I think it might be. Certainly what's killing it is this giant vine. What is this?
What kind of vine is that?
I think it's Wisteria.
That's a Wisteria vine, and it's like a tree.
Really came up there.
This wisteria vine is probably thicker than my leg. It's a hell of a test for a 20-volt Saker handheld chainsaw. So you can see this V-notch that I cut out of the vine here. The idea of doing this is so that the blade doesn't get stuck as you're kind of deep into the middle of it. One more. Almost. Next time somebody tells you that wisteria doesn't spread, it's not invasive in their yard, tell them BS. Look at how big this sucker is. And I also have to tell you that this little teeny chainsaw is pretty badass. You can see how the vines sort of start. When you have a young tree like this, you also have young vines on it. But you can see over time, as the tree grows, so too does the vine. Just rip this one out entirely. Got most of it.
And then one trick, if you're doing this in the forest, is to make sure it doesn't re-root down on the ground. So you can always fold it up in the tree so that it dries out naturally, like this. Or you can just cut it.
Chainsaw. Careful, guys. Here you go. I'm done playing. I'm so jealous. I want that. In addition to the English ivy, there's a lot of wisteria in here. And the wisteria is literally, it's gross stuff. It's actually just been like choking out the trees. You can kind of see like these ligature marks. These are plants that people plant as ground cover. And it certainly covers the ground, but it also chokes out the biodiversity.
This is one of the many ground covers.
Could be winter green.
One of those winters.
It's not winterberry. Why don't these parks have better reception? Wintergreen, snowberries. That's what it was.
It's edible for humans and it is evergreen the whole year. And it has beautiful little red berries that feed critters. And it's got like a nice minty flavor. It's one of the beautiful ground covers that we are suffocating with English ivy.
Without the stewardship of Rona Freed, West Hills was on its way to being overrun. What else needs saving? And what needs to be done? We have found that most every local park has a champion or civic group that is dedicated to its preservation.
This is the highest point on Long Island. 410 foot above sea level. Though the Brookhaven landfill's getting there, I guess. This is what the glacier left. Just sort of got tired and dropped everything here.
Is there a park in your community that needs help? Reach out to us. Let's restore local nature together.